Hi everybody, it's Debbie Ponticus, Associate Broker at The Brokery, and on today's episode of Home Health, I'm going to talk about proper ways in which you should hold title. So I thought a good thing to do would be to pop by and say hi to Allison Kierman, a friend of mine who also happens to be a successful estate and probate attorney here in Scottsdale. So let's pop in and see what she has to say. Hey Allison, thank you so much for letting me stop by real quick. I know you're busy.
Oh, Debbie, it's so good to see you. I'm surprised you have time. I know how busy the real estate market is these days.
It's insane, that's for sure. But I'm getting a ton of questions, and I think you'd be the perfect person to help me kind of answer those questions for some clients. A lot of it about holding title and proper ways to do so. But first, let us know who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I do estate planning. For most people, that's wills, trusts, and financial and medical powers of attorney, just really getting organized in your life, just in case there's an emergency. The opposite of that is I also help people after the emergency. So if they've lost a loved one or they've had a medical or financial emergency, just making sure they take the proper steps to ensure that everyone and everything is protected.
Okay, great. So anytime someone's buying a home or maybe they're a homeowner, I think that a big question that they have is how do we hold title when we purchase or we own a home? So what would you recommend?
My best professional advice is that you hold title in the name of the trust, either as an individual or as a family. It's often revocable, so you can change your mind later, but the idea is you want it to be protected, and a trust gives you the best protection. It gives you protection from probate courts, protection from unfair tax treatment and or tax penalties, and also gives you protection in the event of a creditor lawsuit or a bankruptcy.
Okay, great. That's great to know. And I think another real hot topic right now is these low interest rates and that everyone seems to be refinancing. So it got me thinking, okay, can that impact your title and how you hold title?
So it can, and it's a really great question. So everyone is really lucky that their rates are low, and I see a lot of people taking advantage of it. The only caution I have is that when you refinance, the title company often takes the house out of the trust. Perfectly fine, but we have to cure that. So after title closes, I have clients reach out and we just record a new deed to make sure that the house is transferred back into the trust. So there's no gap in coverage and you still get all the protections of the trust, which is what you signed up for to begin with.
So we've been talking a lot about trust. So do you have to have a trust?
So you don't. It's definitely an option, and I know it doesn't fit everybody's situation. If you don't have a trust, my advice is to still take steps to make sure that what you want to happen to the house is written down. So either through a beneficiary deed or through a will, that we're doing something that says if I pass, this is who gets my house. And that's going to give you protection in the long run.
Okay, great, good advice. So something else that I'm seeing is a lot of young couples are wanting to purchase a house and maybe they need a little bit of extra help to qualify for that price point that they're really hoping to get in. So they reach out to mom and dad and they say, hey, mom and dad, can you get onto the title with us? Is that something that you recommend?
I can definitely recommend it in terms of financing, right? It's important to be able to qualify to purchase a home, especially if you can afford it yourself and you just need help at the beginning. But what you have to make sure is that title ownership changes as your intentions change. So on day one, everybody owns a quarter of a house, mom, dad, husband, wife, totally fine. But as the years pass, that might not be the family's intention. So I have a current client and this was her exact situation. She and her husband 20 years ago purchased a house with her parents. They were newlywed, they needed help qualifying for a mortgage. Mom passed, dad passed, and then the husband passed. And now this woman, who has lost a lot in her life, is stuck with a house that she can't afford by herself anymore, but also she does not own 100%. So it's kind of a problem they're having to solve. We have to transfer all of the 3 different losses into her name. That's requiring us to go through their probate court and to work very extensively with a title company to see what documentation they will accept, because she wants to sell the house to take advantage of the market, but there are a lot of hurdles. But this could have all been solved if 5 or 10 years ago, we would have changed the title to take the parents off.
That sounds complicated.
We're trying.
Yes. So there's the flip side to that, right? So what about the parents who may want to try and make the future easier for their children? So they decide, well, why don't we put our children on our title so that in the future it might be easier after we've passed for them to kind of deal and handle the house. What are your thoughts on that?
I see this a lot. It can be very effective for a family to do that, right? If mom and dad are passing, for the daughter or the son just to automatically step on as owners through the title. The problem is that you have to be really confident in the relationship. There's also a timing issue, right? What time and what point in life will the children take over ownership? So I have a client that I've been seeing for many years. He did this strategy. He added his daughter to the house, not with my assistance, but with another lawyer's assistance when he was ill. He is doing amazing. But now the daughter is ill and the father and the son-in-law do not get along. And I mean that with a lot of exclamation points. And so now my client is affirmatively worried that if his daughter passes before him, his son-in-law is going to evict him. Evict him from his own home. And that's what we want to protect against, is making sure that all your best interests are taken care of, and the legal title to the house is oddly effective at making that happen.
Okay, wow, a lot of really great advice. I'm certainly glad I popped by because you are helping so many people with these answers. But I think that, one final question is, any other final tips? Something that maybe I am not thinking of.
Absolutely. So it seems really, really simple, but what I have to ask people is, who is on the title of your house? It's not who owns your house, because you may be mistaken about that. It's what names are on the title. How is the title in legal terms? Do you need professional assistance? And my final tip is, if you have a trust, make sure your trust is added to the writer of your homeowner's insurance policy.
Very good.
That's a miss we don't want to see happen in the event there's a lawsuit.
Okay, really, really great advice. And I have a feeling that there might be more questions that some of my clients or viewers have. So what's a great way for them to get a hold of you?
So the best way is to call my office. It's 480-719-7333. You can also find out a lot of information about me and the type of work that I do and the clients I help at my website, which is at kiermanlaw.com.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. This was so helpful and it was really great to see you.
So good to see you.
And anyway, if you or anyone you know have other questions about buying or selling real estate, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Home Health. I'm Debbie Ponticus, and I'll see you next time.